All right. Good evening, everyone. It's great to have you here tonight. Thank you for being here. I'm excited to have you here. I love to teach about the healing power of plant foods because they are truly amazing. I started learning about them back about 30 years ago because my family members around me were very sick and going through lots of health issues, mainly heart attack, diabetes, cancer, and kidney failure. And I just decided a long time ago, about 30 years ago, that I wanted to do something different than what my family was doing because I didn't believe that genetics played that big of a role. I felt like that I could do something about it, and that's very true. Brenda Davis, she's a registered dietitian. Come on in, welcome. Brenda Davis, she's a registered dietitian, and I've heard others say this too, but they say that genetics is the loaded gun, and it's diet and lifestyle that pull the trigger. So are we going to pull that trigger by the foods that we put into our body, or are we going to prevent that from happening? So hopefully you're here tonight because you want to prevent that from happening. And you know, I feel like there's so many issues out there. I know a lot of people who are doing plant-based nutrition and they're still having some issues, and we live in an imperfect world full of toxins, and it's just hard to get away from it. But whatever it is that we have, I believe that we can make it better by eating lots of fruits and vegetables and plant foods that nature's provided for us. So, and my passion is to teach people how to incorporate this into their life, into their diet. I know I love to eat. Most people I talk to love to eat. And we want to make this delicious, and we want to make it fun. So hopefully tonight I'll inspire you to start incorporating more plant foods into your diet, and hopefully you'll enjoy. I believe that you'll enjoy what we're doing tonight. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We are going to do, these are some fairly easy recipes. Sometimes I have a tendency to do things that are a little bit, not hard, but just take a little bit of time. And I wanted to do some New Year's fairly quick and easy. I tell people you got to spend a little bit of time in the kitchen to eat healthy. It's just how it is. You can either spend time in the kitchen cooking a healthy meal, or you can spend time in the emergency room or in the hospital or at doctor visits, or dealing with insurance companies and all that kind of stuff. And I'd rather spend a little bit of extra time in the kitchen. But these recipes tonight are fairly quick and easy, and they're very low in fat because we've all indulged big time over the holidays, right? Maybe not so much if you're doing really good and you're kind of got a control over that. But usually January is the time when we want to shed a few pounds, and so we're doing fairly low fat tonight. So we're going to start off with a chili, and we had like 35 people signed up tonight, and I thought, this is a Wheatberry chili. I use sprouted wheat berries in it. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with sprouting grains, but I always have people in my classes, especially when they're this large, when they have that many people, who are gluten sensitive, and I decided I better not do the wheat berries and do quinoa instead, or a gluten-free grain. So I'm going to do quinoa instead. But if you like the wheat berries and want to use that, how many have used wheat berries before, where you've cooked them and added them to a soup or something? It's very good. And I just kind of go a step further and I sprout it, and maybe some of you have done that, where you soak your grain, the whole grain, for about 8 hours, and then you drain it and you let it sit for 24 hours, 48 hours, and it starts to grow that little tail. It's starting to grow. That explodes the nutritional value, like by 100 times. And so it's good to do that. Makes the grain a little bit more digestible, decreases the gluten in it, which is a good thing. If you're got a little bit of a sensitivity but can still have some gluten, it's just a little bit helpful that way. So, and that's the way we should be eating our grains, is whole, intact. Does that mean no bread? That doesn't mean no bread, but just the more we can eat our grains intact, whole like that, the better they are for us. The better they are for, like, the glycemic load is lower when you eat a whole grain, because you're chewing it and chewing it and chewing it. It takes a while to digest because it's very chewy and very hearty and very fibery. So when you grind it down to a flour, it has a tendency to spike your blood sugar more. So, okay, anyway, so we're doing quinoa chili tonight instead of Wheatberry chili. So I'm going to start off with an onion. And we want to get onions in every day. Onions have powerful anti-cancer properties. They have organosulfur compounds, and we experience those every time we chop an onion, right? Our eyes kind of start to water, and the more you chop and the more you chew, you're activating those compounds, and that's a really good thing. I've noticed that organic onions are a little bit stronger in that, in many cases. Hello. And I'm going to use my chopper here, which is a great thing to do when you're doing onions, especially because it kind of decreases that effect on your tears. This is the Vidalia Chop Wizard. Anybody have this? There's a few of you. Yeah. It's a great kitchen tool for. What's that? Thanks to me. You know, it sells itself. It really does. It's a great little tool to have when you're chopping a lot of vegetables, and I hope you're all chopping lots of vegetables every day. Okay, so I'm going to put this in my hot pan. And I don't have any oil or water or broth or anything in here right now. I'm just going to cook this on a dry skillet for a few minutes. And I don't ever use any oil in my cooking, ever. Oil is 120 calories of pure 100% fat. It's the highest calorie, lowest nutrient food that we consume. There's 120 calories in 1 tablespoon. I can eat a pound of broccoli for less than that. It actually has been shown to slow blood flow 40% within 4 hours of consuming a meal with oil, any kind of oil, olive oil in particular. Well, not olive oil in particular, but even olive oil. We think olive oil is such a great food because the Mediterranean people use it. And the reason the Mediterranean people are healthy is not because they dump olive oil on their food, it's because they're eating a plant-based diet. Lots of fruits and vegetables and plants. They're living off the land. Oil, once they take it out of the olive, it starts to go bad. Just like when you chop up an apple, immediately it starts to turn brown. Olives, you know, any kind of nut or seed or avocado does the same thing. When you take it out of its shell and you smash it up, it starts to oxidize quickly. Fats oxidize very quickly. So how those fats in that olive oil can sit in that jar for a long time without getting oxidized, it's just not happening. They're oxidizing. And rotten fats are not good for the brain. They're not good for the body either. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to kind of watch that as I chop my garlic. I'm going to do 3 cloves of garlic. Garlic is also an allium vegetable, like your onion and your leek and your scallions, shallots. They all have those anti-cancer compounds. In fact, garlic was one of the vegetables that has the most powerful effect against cancer. They literally stop tumor cells from growing. Raw, of course, is best, but we can still preserve some of that when we cook it. It's very beneficial, however, if you can chop up your garlic and let it sit for 10 minutes to let those compounds become activated. I kind of say, who has time to let your garlic sit for 10 minutes? Just if you think about it ahead of time. And of course, if you love garlic, you can go lots more garlic. If you don't like garlic, just leave it out. But hopefully you love garlic. Garlic's got some antiviral, antibacterial properties in it. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see, there we go. My onions aren't sticking. They're doing just fine here. There's a little bit of browning over on this side of the pan, and that's the caramelizing of the onion. The sugars in the onion are coming out, and that's just, pardon me? An extra heavy pan. It's a nice pan. I can't remember what brand this is, but it is a pretty decent pan, which is helpful. If you're sticking like crazy, if you've got a pan that's just not working for you, just add a little bit of water. I like to get that caramelizing going first before I add the water to it, and I am going to add a little bit of water. I mean, this is a soup. I just like that browning to start happening. Brings out some flavor. And once that browning starts, I'm going to add my garlic. Please. The garlic in the grocery store that's already been chopped. If you can find some in water, it's probably okay. If it's in oil, I would look for some in water if you can get that. You know, it's probably, the nutritional value of it is probably less. I don't know. That's a good question to ask Dr. Michael Greger. Nutritionfacts.org, you guys familiar with him? Write that down, nutritionfacts.org. He puts out a video every other day, or maybe it's every day now, about the latest in nutrition science. And he has touched on, he's done a video about what's the best apple, what's the best green, what's the best everything. And I'll bet he may have a video on that actually. I think you're definitely still getting some of the properties from it. So, okay, so that was starting to get quite a bit of brown. And now when I add that garlic to it, I stir it for about a minute, and then I put on some water and break up the browning that's on the side of the pan. I'm going to add about 2 cups to that. All right. Just let that go. Okay, now I'm going to add my sweet potato. We got some sweet potato going on in this chili. I love sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are great for breakfast. I just did a little, I've got a YouTube channel and I do home videos every once in a while. I want to start doing more. But I've got a oatmeal recipe on there and the brownies I'm doing tonight, I've got that on there. But anyway, I just put these in the oven at night. I set it early in the morning so when I get up they're already done. And I mash them up and put some cinnamon and cardamom and ginger, mash it all up, and it's the best breakfast ever. And it's super easy, super quick. And they give me so much energy that I can't eat them. I like them as a snack. They're just so good, almost like dessert. But I have to be careful not to eat them at night because they'll literally keep me awake. I'm just like, they give me so much energy. So if you need some extra energy during the day and you don't know what to have for breakfast, try some sweet potatoes.
Can you tell the difference between yams and sweet potatoes?
It's my understanding that yams, we don't grow yams in this country. That's what I've heard. And that all yams and sweet potatoes are sweet potatoes. So this is just the orange sweet potato.
Kind of a different variety.
Different variety, yeah. And this chopper works really well for the sweet potatoes, although you want to slice them fairly thin.
You leave the skin on.
I'm leaving the skin on. These are organic. And I will kind of look at them and make sure that they don't have any brown spots, because sometimes those brown spots can be a little bit, have some mold in them. But that one was actually a really nice one. And I'm just going to go add that right in there. And I'm going to go ahead and put the lid on that so that can be cooking good. And then I'm also going to add one of the most important things that we're going to add to this chili. And this is kind of the main thing that I want to impress upon you is that you can add vegetables to whatever dish you're making. So whatever casserole you've got that normally you put a half a pound of ground beef in or whatever, put half broccoli, because that's what we're doing with our chili tonight, is doing some broccoli. Put greens in not broccoli in everything, put greens in everything. Something green in everything. Greens are amazing foods. They'll decrease risk of heart disease, diabetes, cancer. They reduce inflammation. They help your blood flow better. Cruciferous vegetables in particular, like broccoli, kale, collards, arugula, they have double the protection against cancer. They inactivate carcinogens before cell damage can even occur. They detoxify your body, so you don't need to go on a cleanse. Just eat lots of cruciferous vegetables because they detoxify. They increase your liver's ability to detoxify. They stimulate your immune function. And I'm chopping these. I just wanted to show you, I'm chopping these in my chopper. I've already got most of them already chopped though, but I just cut off the little florets and run them through there. And I put it, this thing's got 2 different sizes screens. This one, and then it's got one that's about a quarter of the size. It's more of a tinier dice. but I've used that one. So we're just going to go ahead and add that. Okay, let's see. Green vegetables contain lutein. People with the highest levels of lutein in their blood have the cleanest arteries. They're good for, greens are good for your eyes. They help you see better. Lutein is also good for your eyes. And you've all probably heard sulforaphane. That's in cruciferous vegetables and especially high in broccoli, which is an anti-cancer compound. Our arteries are lined with what's called endothelial cells. They are kind of like, I think of, underneath the octopuses, it's got these little suction things. That's what I envision when I think of these endothelial cells. But they produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the most powerful vasodilator, meaning it causes your blood vessels to expand and dilate. And green vegetables do that. They produce that nitric oxide that keeps your blood vessels running like Teflon, like you've got Teflon on the inside of your arteries. We all want Teflon on the inside of our arteries so our blood flows smoothly. Okay, so we're just going to, we're going to add our mushrooms too. I add mushrooms. Whenever I'm doing some greens, I'm always adding some mushrooms as well. Studies show out of China that women who had 1 button mushroom a day can reduce the risk of breast cancer by 64%. And you add greens to that, bumped it up to 89%. So every day when we want to get some greens and mushrooms in. And that, it makes it just look so pretty anyway. I'm just going to add a little bit more water. And then we're going to jump over here to our other burner, and I'm going to start with we're going to also do a lentil dal, which is an Indian dish. Oh, and I got rid of my chopper. So we're going to just do another onion. And you can do a different onion. You can do a red onion. Red onions are actually higher in those micronutrients that make it red, antioxidants, flavonoid antioxidants, a little bit of brown on that onion there. Oh, actually, before we add this onion, I almost forgot again. We're going to go ahead and add some seeds to this. We're going to add some cumin seeds. Do you guys ever use cumin seeds? I use the powder all the time, but I like to do the seeds in Indian food, in this one in particular. And I just get my skillet hot, or my pan hot. And I just let those toast a little bit. Spices are super high in antioxidants as well. Your chili spices and your nutmeg and cloves and all those, super high in nutrients. And all of these compounds are anti-aging compounds. That's what antioxidants are. In fact, from now on, when you think of antioxidants, I want you to think anti-aging. We're all looking for the fountain of youth, right? That's where it's at. It's in our vegetables. In fact, Dr. Michael Greger with nutritionfacts.org, he talks about the highest antioxidant foods. And how do you tell if it's got high in antioxidants? Do you guys know? Anybody know? You say the color? Yep, the color. The darker the color, the more antioxidants are in there. Plant foods have about, on average, 64 times more antioxidants than animal foods. Like blueberries have up over 1,000. Green leafy vegetables have up over 1,000. Let's see, I've got some notes on that somewhere. Oh, iceberg lettuce is only 7. Blueberries are 800, over 800. Chicken is 4 and eggs are 5. So we want to base our diet on lots of antioxidant-rich plant foods. Okay. We'll check and these cumin seeds will start to pop when they start getting hot. You can smell them. Now this one's a Teflon pan. I don't normally use Teflon at home because I know the higher the heat, the more those chemicals come out. But I forgot to bring my second pan tonight, so had to use one that they have. But Dr. John McDougall, he says Teflon is better than using oil. So I don't know, that's his opinion. I still don't like using it. So I want to cook those vegetables till they just start to get soft.
Question.
Yes, please.
Have you ever heard anything about cooking in cast iron? Or
About the iron in it, that it's beneficial to increase iron. I've heard that. If you guys didn't hear, she's asking about the cast iron skillets, and you know they're hard to cook in without oil, so I don't use them. I think you can get iron, you know, if you're wanting to get iron from it, you know, in your body. I think it's better to have pumpkin seeds and seeds that are high in iron, like sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds are all high in iron. And when you add citrus to that, so if you're having a salad with some citrus like we're having tonight, you can add some pumpkin seeds, and that'll increase the amount of iron you're absorbing.
what about glass?
You know, I've never cooked in glass. I mean, not like this. So in a microwave I have, back when I was using, that's something else I try not to use a whole lot of. But so do you not like stainless steel or? Oh, okay.
I know the glassware that I've looked at cooking on the top, the countertop is really expensive.
Yeah.
And it's hard to cook on it does burn.
Yeah. If you're doing soups and things with a lot of water, they probably work quite well. But okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add, now that I've got my my seeds, they are smelling really good. I'm just going to go ahead and add my onion, and then just cook it the same way. I'm going to go ahead and chop up some garlic again. So on nutritionfacts.org, Dr. Greger talks about some studies done with the different types of cooking: boiling, sautéing, stir frying, microwaving, pressure cookering, and the nutrient loss in all of those. And the nutrient loss in all of them are relatively the same, except for the boiling. And the boiling, a lot of the nutrients were lost, but where did the nutrients go? In the water. Yes, so a good way to cook is in soups. And kind of the way we're doing this tonight, this Indian dish that we're doing, we're not going to be throwing out any water. I don't ever throw out the water. What I do try to do is cook with less water. Like if it's not something I want a lot of water in, I use as little water as I can if I need to saute, which I usually do, and I need to add a little something, but you can use vegetable broth or cooking wine or some kind of soy sauce if you want, but I try to keep the moisture to a minimum. And this one's not going to brown, of course, because it is Teflon, but we're just going to give that a little stir, and then we're going to add our water. Oh, we got to add some ginger to this one. We're going to add a tablespoon of ginger. I better keep an eye on my recipe because I'm going to forget something. So fresh ginger, you guys familiar with fresh ginger? Hopefully you're really familiar with it. This is great for the tummy, great for digestion, improves digestion, improves, you know, if you're nauseous in any way because of, you know, whatever. It decreases the nausea, helps with gas and bloating, just helps things to digest a little bit easier. If you've got digestive upsets, it's anti-inflammatory. It's got some anti-cancer compounds. Just all around good spice. And if you get it organic, I've seen people use the skin, but this is not organic, so. And you want to get it that smells good. You know, a lot of times you'll buy it and it's tough and woody. And sometimes it's hard to tell, but I think if it's got a good fragrance to it, that's a pretty good sign. I'm going to just peek at this real quick. It smells like it's cooking good. And I'm just going to try one of these sweet potatoes and see if it's soft. We want to make sure those sweet potatoes are good and soft. They need to be cooked just a little bit longer. And if you notice, I don't have the soup pot full of the broth right now. Like I said, I like to cook with less water and then add water at the end if I need to. That just cooks everything a little bit quicker. The less water you have, the faster it cooks. And something that you can do that I do a lot of because I have sweet potatoes already cooked, I do like a whole cookie sheet, every other morning or so. And you can just take a already cooked sweet potato and just chop it up and add it at the end of your cooking, because the broccoli will cook a lot quicker than the sweet potato. Sweet potato is what takes a little bit longer to cook.
If you cook up a whole tray of sweet potatoes, do you like to use them for snacks?
I do. I eat about a little over a pound in the morning. That's my breakfast, and then I'll have like when I come home from work before I start fixing dinner, I might want a little something, and I'll just, oh, they're so good just the way they are. They are like dessert. I'll have them for dessert too. Let's see, we need to go a little bit more on that. And there's no fat very little fat in them. Not, they're low in calorie.
The secret to making like an inverted dessert is make sure you cook them very well done.
You want to, yeah. Mine, when I take them out of the oven, they're bubbly and the juice is coming out. 350. 350 for about 2.5 hours.
What do you do overnight?
I set my timer for about 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's when they come on. And I get up about 4:35, and they're done. They're bubbling and already, and then I pull them out of the oven. And I like to cool them. Like I'll mash the cinnamon and cardamom and the ginger in it, and then I'll put it in a bowl like what I want for breakfast, and then I'll stick it in the fridge, and it gets cold, and it's like pumpkin pie. And I mean, you might want it warm, just for a warm breakfast in the morning. I like them both, but I prefer them cold for some reason.
Expect the doorbell to ring at 5 a.m.
Hey, I do enough, I'll share.
Sweet potatoes, are they cut in pieces or are they just whole?
They're just whole.
Oh, you cook them whole.
I just cook them whole. Keep it simple. I don't want to have to spend too much time cutting them up. Let's see, I need some more water. Okay, so we're going to add, we need to add our ginger to this. That's what I'm cutting ginger for. Let's see, let me get my...
That looks like more than a tablespoon.
It is more of a tablespoon. I was looking for my tablespoon to measure. Oh, there it is. Thought I lost it. Yeah, I don't want to put all that in there. You can go a little bit too gingery on the ginger. You got to be careful with ginger. There we go. Okay, so to this also, I'm just going to keep that ginger in the bottom of the pan right there. And then we're going to add our cabbage. And this is a 1/2 pound of green cabbage. Another cruciferous vegetable. Kale, collards, bok choy, arugula, watercress, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. All of those cabbagey family vegetables are all your cruciferous vegetables. Women that are predisposed to breast cancer, that have that gene, those who get the cabbage, specifically cabbage in, daily cut their risk in half. So greatly decreasing that. Yes? I am putting turmeric in there. And in fact, they're in the lentils that I have already cooked. And I was going to talk about that. Let's see, I need to get rid of that. So let's see, we're just going to put this back on the burner and put that lid over there. And this is looking like it's getting pretty close to being done. So I'm just going to go ahead and add my spices. I like to add the spices more towards the end of cooking so they don't cook out. So I've got some chili powder, cumin, and onion powder. And why do I put onion and onion powder? Because onion powder's got a stronger flavor. It just adds, it takes the need of adding too much salt to it. I just like using onion powder. And then we're going to go with some green chilies. And this is, it says a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of green chilies. I'm going to go 1/3 cup. These are actually the 505 brand from Costco in the jar. And they're a little bit spicy. They're kind of a medium heat. So I'm just going to go about 1/3 cup on those. And then we're going to go with our tomato products. I'm just going to go with a can of chopped tomatoes. And these are organic diced tomatoes. Those look like they're roasted. And then we're also going to go, I think those are roasted tomatoes. And it doesn't say roasted on the can, but they look like they're roasted and they smell like they're roasted. Well, that'll just make it better. All right, and then we're just going to go with some tomato paste. When something calls for tomato sauce, I always have tomato paste on hand, and I make my own sauce by adding water to it. When you buy tomato sauce, if you look at the ingredient list, and I hope you all look at ingredient lists, there's always sugar, salt, natural flavors. What the heck's a natural flavor? I have no idea. That could be anything scary. So I buy tomato paste that's most always just tomatoes. This one does have citric acid in it. They didn't have my favorite brand, which is actually an organic Harmon's brand, where it's just tomatoes. Citric acid is just vitamin C. So anyway, I just keep tomato paste on hand, and if I need a tomato sauce, I just use the tomato paste. Make my own. Does it tell you on the can?
Yeah, I mean, how much water do you put in? You just
To make tomato sauce?
Yeah.
I just guess, yeah. Quite frankly, I don't really use very much. I don't have recipes that call for tomato sauce necessarily. I usually use tomato paste, and I mean, most of the recipes I make are my own recipes, so I just do tomato sauce or tomato paste. And tomatoes, lycopene. That lycopene is great for your heart, great for your skin, protecting your skin from DNA damage from the sun. And I find it interesting that tomatoes grow at the hottest time of the year when our skin is most susceptible to that skin damage. Those compounds in tomatoes increase hydration and elasticity in your skin. This is all going to help our skin stay nice. Anti-aging compounds again. All right, and then to this, let's see, we're going to add our beans. I need to add some more water to this. This is looking very, now what you could do with this actually, if you can see it, it's very thick. You could add even less water than this and stuff this inside a burrito and make a burrito with it. Add some rice, yep, some green peppers. But we're doing soup, so we're going to just add about 2 cups. Let's see, what is that? That is 2 cups, I think. Yeah. There's a little water in the refrigerator's not working, so we got to use bottled water. There we go. And then we're going to add about 1.5 cups of kidney beans. I like doing kidney beans in some of my chili. I like pinto, I like black, I like all kinds of beans. I like garbanzo beans in chili. But we're doing some kidney beans tonight, about 1.5 cups. And these beans are cooked from scratch. Not made from scratch, they're cooked from scratch. I've just taken the hard bean, I soak it in water for about 24 hours. And the longer you soak it, up to about 24 hours, you don't want to let them go much further than that because they'll get kind of nasty. They'll start smelling funny. But let them soak about 24 hours, and as they get bubbly on top, and you dump out, you drain that off and rinse that off, you're getting rid of some of the gassiness of the beans. So that's always a good thing. And somebody's going to say, don't you use an Instapot? Nobody's going to say, don't ask me about an Instapot tonight. Every class I do, don't you use an Instapot? I don't have an Instapot. Who has an Instapot? Oh, you guys, awesome. Awesome. I figure not everybody has an Instapot. And I haven't cooked one ever in 30 years, and I'm not sure I want to start, but I might decide to someday. Okay, and then I'm going to add some pinto beans, and these are mashed pinto beans. You don't need to mash them, but I just like kind of the thickness that it adds to the soup. So about 1 cup of pinto beans, or pinto beans, yes. Cup of pinto beans that have been mashed, or leave them whole if you like.
How long do you cook the beans?
I just set my crock pot for 8 hours, and 8 hours crock pot. What?
Any flavoring?
Nope. I just cook them. And then I put them in my freezer. And then when I make whatever I'm making, that's when I add the flavors to it. I never did. Oh, I'm gonna burn something here. Almost. Let's see. I need some more water. All right, so we want to make sure that cabbage gets nice and soft. Just going to go ahead and add all of that water. Ooh. So our beans, I started saying, I soak them, and then after 24 hours, drain them off, and then I put them in my crock pot, cover them with water, and set my timer for 8 hours. And they don't, like I said, I cook them all night or all day while I'm at work, and I don't have to babysit them. They're just super easy. That might be something just I can't cook my own beans. I don't have time. I can't think about that. If that's the case, use canned beans. Canned beans are still good. The benefits of beans in general are just so great for you. In fact, if you've heard of the blue zones, and because you're part of ICL, I think you've all heard of the blue zones because you have classes about that. Their main protein source is beans. All 5 of those countries, the main thing that they eat is beans every day.
So you put them in small individual little baggies?
I do. I put them in, I actually have some glass containers that I put them in, little square. They're about 2.5 cup measures, and they stack really nice in my freezer. Yep, like I have them color coordinated, like the kidney ones go in the red ones, and the pinto go in the pink, and just makes it a little bit easier.
April, if you buy like a can of black beans, and then that very almost gelatin clear fluid that those beans are packed in, is that good or?
It depends the brand. If you've got some that are really high in salt, I would, and EDT, and there's some preservatives, I would dump that out and rinse them really good. If you get some organic ones that don't have all that in there, you can leave it in and use it.
I've been just draining what comes off when you open the can.
Yeah.
But I can be a little more surgical about it.
Yeah. All right, and then we're going to add our quinoa or your wheat berries, whichever you'd like. But we are adding quinoa tonight. Quinoa is a high protein grain, but we don't need to worry about protein, remember. If there's one thing you learn tonight is that you don't need to worry about protein. There's a handout over there, it's green, and it has a list of all plant foods and their protein values. I hope you grabbed one. We are so obsessed with protein in our country, and it's unnecessary. You could be living on rice and vegetables, or rice and sweet potatoes, and you're going to get enough protein. We don't need to, you can get rid of your protein powders and your supplements. Just eat food. Just eat food.
Rachel, on rice, do you use brown rice or white rice?
I use brown rice.
Okay.
Yep, long grain brown rice or the short grain brown rice. We're using short grain brown rice tonight with our Indian dish. And then we're going to add some cilantro to this, about 1/2 cup of chopped cilantro to our chili. And that's looking so thick and yummy. And then we need to add a little bit of salt to this. I am going to add salt. About 1 teaspoon. That's 1/2 teaspoon, so we'll go 2 of those. Okay, I forgot about our chilies. We're going to add some green chilies to our cabbage as well.
Some people are really obsessed with the type of salt, like sea salt. They got something you try to find in a certain.
Yeah, I like to use the real salt. According to another one of my favorite nutrition experts, Dr. Joel Furman, he says all salt is salt. It's all sodium chloride. It all will raise your blood pressure and weaken your bones, and you need to just get it out of your diet. But I follow his program almost to a T, except for that one thing. Salt's kind of I don't know, I have a hard time getting rid of the salt. So, mainly because I'm doing classes, and it's hard to make it taste really good without a little bit of salt. So, Okay, we're going to go ahead and add some tomatoes to this. We're doing a cup of tomatoes, and your recipe says 1 tomato or a cup of. Oh, these are. I hope that's going to be okay. These are roasted again. Anyway, your paper says one tomato or 1 cup. So if you were using a fresh tomato, and I only use fresh tomatoes during the summer when I can get them good, you'd want to cook that with your onion and garlic and your cabbage and things like that. But because these are already cooked, we're going to add that.
Whole tomato or diced?
Diced tomato, yeah. All right. That's just a little bit of a guess there. And let that cook some more. And we got our chili. It's looking really good and looking really thick. I don't know that I want to thin that down any. I like a good thick chili.
Going back to your tomato sauce.
Yes.
The recipe calls for 16-ounce can of tomato sauce. Would that equal 6-ounce tomato paste and add water?
Say that again, sorry.
Well, if your recipe calls for 16 ounces of tomato sauce,
Okay.
does that relate to 6-ounce tomato paste?
You know, I'm not really sure. You'd have to play around with it. I mean, like I said, I don't do that very much. I would say 16 ounces, so that's 2 cups, and your can of tomato paste is 6 ounces. I would say, yeah, I would say if you doubled, like added a whole can of water, maybe even 1.5 cans to 2 cans. I would just play with that and just, you know, see what you like. I like real tomatoey. I like a rich tomato flavor. So I would probably use less. That's probably why I don't ever use tomato sauces, because I just put in the tomato paste. So, okay, so our chili is done. I'm just going to let that sit there for a second while we finish this up. And I'm going to add some red lentils to this. Now, so something else that I like to tell people to do to simplify plant-based cooking, sometimes you got to think ahead. And this is one of those times where you have to think ahead, because lentil dal is a lentil dish that's cooked, that's red lentils that's cooked till they're very, very soft and mushy. That takes about an hour, okay? Most people don't want to spend an hour in the kitchen cooking and waiting for that to cook. So you're thinking ahead. When you're cleaning up dinner the night before, you're putting on your lentils to cook for the next day, or when you're up fixing your breakfast, you just throw on your lentils to cook, and you just boil 4 to 5 cups of water, add a couple lentils, and put the lid on and just let them cook while you're getting ready for work or getting ready for the day or whatever. And then they're done. So just planning ahead, you know, like cooking your potatoes. If you want to bake some potatoes, throw them in the oven in the morning. A butternut squash, throw it in the oven in the morning. That way you're not waiting for it later on when dinner's, you know. I hate when I'm driving home from work and going, oh, what am I going to have for dinner? I hate that. You know, because then it's just like quick, and it's, you know, it's never as good. And it seems like when I plan ahead.
Are those red lentils?
These are red lentils. They don't look red. I should have brought some that before they're cooked, but before they're cooked, they're kind of an orange color. And then when you cook them, they're more of a yellow color. And when you add them to this, they are kind of a green color because the tomato in it kind of makes it look a little bit greenish. And this has actually got probably a little bit more water in than I would normally have it, but we're serving it over rice. So, and I'm going to add some salt to this as well. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt. And that is looking really good. And I may go ahead, because that's fairly soupy, I might go ahead and add it might be a little bit easier to serve. Go ahead and add the rice to this, but we'll wait till we're a little bit closer to serving. I'm just going to turn that off. And we'll do our brownies. You guys like brownies? Right? These are super healthy brownies. First, actually, we're going to do our salad dressing. We're just doing a basic romaine lettuce salad tonight with, I do have some orange on the side because it really goes nice with that, and oranges are in season. So it's important to get a big leafy green salad in every day. Every nutrition expert will tell you, a raw leafy green salad is one of the best things that you can do for your health. And, we're talking a big salad. Like my lunchtime salad is like the size of this bowl. Make it the size of your potluck bowl that you would take to serve with everybody else. And you want to make it a main dish salad. Make it good. Add some beans, add some quinoa, add some lots of vegetables. Make it really good. And the one thing that you got to make sure you have is a really good salad dressing. You don't want to put, 300 or 400 calories of salad dressing of fat on your 100 calorie salad or 200 calorie salad. You want to keep it high nutrient, low fat, but we are going to use some, seeds in this to make it thick and to add some healthy fats. We want to get our fats from whole foods. Fats are important. We need to incorporate them into our diet. The difference between a whole food fat and oil is the fiber. Okay, so the fiber is going to bind some of those fats and some of those oils to that fiber, and it's going to go right out into the toilet bowl, so your body's not absorbing it. If you're taking free oils that are just oils, they know right where to go. There's no digestion that needs to take place. It goes into your mouth and right into your fat cells. In fact, Dr. Furman says from your lips to your hips. But when you're eating a nut, you chew it, you swallow it, it goes down. It takes hours for those oils to get into your system, and then a lot of them just go right out of your body because they're bound to those fibers. We want to eat oils that have the fibers intact. Okay, so what we're doing tonight, we don't have quite as many as I thought we did, so I'm not gonna double this actually. Although I have everything soaked, so maybe I should. Okay, so our salad dressing, this is kind of the base of a lot of my salad dressings. Vinegar, water, nuts or seeds, and dates. So this is gonna make a sweet, creamy kind of a dressing. And you can do, I've got a recipe for a ranch, and I've got a recipe for a sweet mustard dressing where I add mustard to it, and I'm not using the sunflower seeds or sesame seeds. But this is a creamy tahini, so I'm using sesame seeds. And if you know what tahini is, it's sesame seed butter. And you can use tahini in this, but I like to use the whole food. You can buy a 10-pound bag of sesame seeds for like $10. A little bottle of tahini about this size is about $10. So I want to use the seed. And actually the seed is a little bit healthier because it's whole. It still has the brown hull attached. When you buy tahini, you're buying whole sesame seeds, if that makes sense. Like the hull has been taken off, and 90% of the calcium is in the hull. And sesame seeds have the highest calcium of all foods. More than cow's milk. Much more than cow's milk. So,
What did you say the liquid base in there was?
Vinegar, half a cup of vinegar, and we're doing a little bit of water as well. I'm not going to try to get all that out. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this since I've got this all soaked anyway. That way we'll have plenty. So I'm doubling this recipe here.
So you put everything together to soak for a while.
Put everything together to soak for a while, except for, I didn't put the lemon juice in, but you can put the lemon juice in. And if you've got a good strong blender, you don't, like a Vitamix or a Blendtec, you don't necessarily have to soak those things. It just blends a lot easier. Everything's nice and soft, and it's going to blend much easier after it's been soaked. Oh, we're going to go ahead and add our lemon juice. This is juice of 2 lemons. So I'm just going to put that on there.
Sesame seeds.
What's that?
Where do you get your sesame seeds?
I get my sesame seeds through a co-op called Azure Standard. They come out of Washington, and they come down and they drop at different locations all through the state. AzureStandard.com if you're interested. They drop in Tokerville once a month. Azure, A-Z-U-R-E, standard.com. You can get 50-pound bags of oats, beans, any kind of whole grain, whole foods like that. Anything you can find in a health food store, you can pretty much get through them at a cheaper, sometimes cheaper. You can get nuts and seeds, like 5, 10-pound bags of nuts and seeds. A lot of organic stuff. So we're just going to grind this all up. put all the water in. I didn't put hardly any water in either of these for a very specific reason. And usually when I blend this up, it all splatters. A lot of it splatters along the side of the blender jar. So I like to clean it off with my little squeegee thingy here. And then just add that water. Seeds are higher in protein, by the way, than nuts. Higher in nutrients, higher in minerals, higher in lignans. Lignans convert to phytoestrogens in the body. Phytoestrogens are plant estrogens, and they are very good for us, for men and women both. I could just tell that that was really thick, so I needed to water it down just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and just pour this in here. See how nice and thick that is? That comes from the seeds and the dates. And those sesame seeds are going to add just a nice, I don't know if you, kind of a bite, kind of a, I don't know if you're familiar with sesame seeds or tahini. Tahini is not something you want to spread on your toast. It's bitter. And so it adds a little bit of a bitterness, but when you combine it with the dates and the vinegar, and it just adds it's just a nice flavor. I like it. All right, let's do our brownies. So I believe it's important that we include some healthy desserts into our diet. I know I love dessert, but I tell people these are still they're still high calorie, and even though they're super healthy, you kind of have it in your mind that, oh, they're so healthy, I could eat these for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? I mean, they have sweet potatoes in them, of all things. But no, we need to make sure we treat them like desserts. They're high calorie. There is a significant amount of fat with the nuts or the seeds that we're using tonight. So when you make them, make sure you have lots of friends to share them with, okay? So they're not calling you in the middle of the night. So we're going to use, these are gluten-free. We're going to use a cup of oats. These are just regular rolled oats. It's my favorite flour to use. We are processing this down to flour, but it's the whole grain. And then my favorite sweetener is dates. You can add, I've done raisins with these actually, but I'm using these small Deglet Nor. They're pitted. You want to make sure the pits are out, even though the can container says pitted. Make sure you give them a little squeeze and make sure those pits are out of there. Again, it's a whole food sweetener. All the parts of the plant are still there, all the fibers and everything that keeps those sugars from getting absorbed into your bloodstream too fast. Okay, so we are going to, the brownies that I have made for you tonight that are already cooked, I've used walnuts. I had a gal that was coming tonight that can't do nuts. Is there anybody here that can't do nuts? Okay. My thought was that I was going to do some seeds in this batch, and then when they came out of the oven, she could have some of those seeds, but she couldn't come tonight because she's sick. So anyway, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to use seeds in this. Hemp seeds are a really nice seed to use. Sunflower seeds have a little bit of a sunflower seedy flavor, and they'd probably work okay in brownies because of the cocoa powder would probably cover it up. But hemp seeds are really nice and super healthy seed. You know, high protein, high omega-3 fatty acids, lots of minerals. Just a great seed to use. So I'm using a half a cup. They kind of have a different flavor too, but it's a nice flavor with cocoa powder. And we're just going to go ahead and grind this. Actually, we're going to add our baking powder and baking soda. 1 teaspoon of that. And I'm just going to grind all this up. Now we're going to add our cocoa powder, and this is just plain cocoa powder. We don't want to add the sugary kind. Just give that a quick spin. And then we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of vanilla, about a teaspoon of vanilla, tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and the apple cider vinegar mixed with the baking soda and baking powder is going to help these to kind of rise a little bit. And then we're adding some sweet potatoes. And this is going to add a little bit of sweetness as well as some moisture and nutrients. And then just grind all this up. Now, it's good to have a food processor to do this, of course. I'm not so sure you could even use the dates without it. I was trying to think of a way to do it in your blender. In fact, I'm surprised somebody hasn't asked me, can you do that in your Vitamix? The dates I don't think would work in a Vitamix or a blender. Okay, we'll just kind of pulse that. And then we're going to go with a little bit of water. Your recipe says 1/4 cup, but it kind of depends on the dough. Like, if I can see that it's going to be kind of dry, I will add 1/4 cup, but it kind of depends on the sweet potatoes. Some sweet potatoes are more moist than others. So these sweet potatoes have been really good, and so I'm not going to add quite 1/4 cup to this, maybe 1/8. And just kind of help it along a little bit. Scrape down the sides. One more time. Smelling so good. Okay, and that's it. Super, super simple. Okay, so we're just going to take this off and put this in our pan. Cocoa powder, another food that's super high in antioxidants. So you don't want to eat chocolate because it's got oil and sugar, most of the chocolate bars, although you can get one that's 70-80% cacao that are better. But if you want to get your chocolate, this is a better way to do it because you're using your whole food sweeteners, your whole food fats, not getting any oils in at all. And then we're just going to spread it around the pan. And I've got some parchment paper in the bottom of my pan here, which is another great thing that I love. Just makes cleanup so much easier. All right. We're going to bake this at 350 for about 20 minutes. It's 7:03, so 7:23. I'm just going to, don't let me forget about those, okay? All right, you guys, we are ready to have some food. So I think since it's just me tonight, I'm going to have you guys just come up, and I sometimes will have a helper, but Rob's been ditching out on me, so. You guys don't need to be served anyway, right? Okay. There's some chili bowls. Let's see. let's see, I'm going to go ahead and add, I'm going to just go ahead and add some of this rice to this. I think it'll be just a little bit easier to handle. And this is this is short grain brown rice. I really like the short grain brown rice. It's just nice. This is a little bit soupy. I'm wondering if we ought to just use, I probably have enough of those bowls to use this. Whoops. And then, like I said, we're doing a just basic romaine lettuce for our dressing tonight. And I've got some oranges. In fact, we'll move that down here. And our dressing. So if you guys want to go ahead and come up and grab, I've got the plates here. Plates and bowls and silverware. I guess we could go front row first and then.
Dr. Greger always says to add beans to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Why does it have beans in your salad?
Oh, well, we have beans in our soup and our, yeah, everything else. So,
It's okay.
oh, let me, I'm just going to cut up these brownies and put them on a plate, and then you guys can get them like after. Because you got to eat your, you know, your vegetables and stuff first before you have a brownie. Let's see, how many?
Something to serve.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Oh, I forgot the orange. Sorry.
Oh, good.
There, I had some oranges to go on the salad. Sorry about that. You're welcome. Let's see, how many do we have tonight? I should have counted before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 20.
Your little chopper.
Oh,
What is that?
it's the Vidalia
down.
chop was there. Yep.
All right, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Well, I hope it tastes as good as it looks.
So the guy that has the daily nutritional,
Michael Greger,
G-R-E.
Greger.
Okay.
His website is nutritionfacts.org.
Okay.
He does a video every other day, and sometimes they're a little bit over your head, too scientific, but you can kind of get the gist of the video and the information that's there. It's really good. He's actually going to be coming here in September and doing a talk.
Here
Uh-huh.
in St. George,
In St. George, yep.
with meditation.
Well, ICL started.
Oh, they invited him?
Yeah. Well, I put in the request to have him come here, and I was talking to I'm trying to think, Rob. him and I were kind of working on, he's talking to the gal here at the college to see if we could get a facility. And anyway, the college came out and they said that they would help fund it. And so help fund it. So we're gonna have to raise some money to have him come. So anyway, we're hoping between ICL and I'm involved with Vegetarian Society of Utah here locally, and we're gonna just try to raise at least half of it. He doesn't really charge, but he wants a donation for his nonprofit.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so his videos can keep being produced. And
Was he coming from one lecture or a series?
just one lecture. He's on a tour. He'll be on a tour.
It
So,
would be like that ICL Thursday night.
well, I'm not sure what night we're going to get him. We kind of have to get the night that he can come. So it might be a Tuesday night. It was on a Sunday night, and then we had to change, and now I think it's a Tuesday night. So hopefully that'll work.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I listen to him all the time.
Do ya?
I think at first I thought, he's really hard to listen to because his voice is kind of,
It's a little odd.
sharp. He has
Yeah.
an odd voice. But I'm used to it now, and he has so many fantastic things to say
Yeah.
that you just don't want to miss out.
Mm-hmm. You have to let me know how that lentil dal is. I don't know. Those tomatoes were roasted tomatoes. So I don't know how that's going to be in the lentil dal, but oh, I guess I better cut her. Yeah, I'm sure it didn't hurt it too bad. And let's see. Yes. Let's see. I want to see how many we've got tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I think we're good there.
So April, I've heard that the latest nutritional research says you should always eat dessert first.
Really?
Mom said.
Really?
Middle and the end.
Many times as you
Well, that way you
can.
get the sugar rush out of it. Still,
Right.
I appreciate what you say about the calories and dressings because, you know, I ate a lot of salads and when I go to the store, I look at the calories per 2 tablespoons. You know, I try to go as low as possible, you know, down. Some of them are like 20, but then some are like 150.
Oh, yeah.
I stay away from those.
Yeah.
But they've got one, and I'm scared to read the label about what's in it. But it's 0 calories.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's frightening.
That's frightening.
It is,
It's got to
it
be.
is, that's
It's got to be
right.
garbage.
Process.
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared to read the
Yeah.
label on that one.
That would be
but I
scary.
have bought it, and some of them don't taste too bad.
Yeah.
But it's probably more harm than the good saving the calories. Though.
You want to grab one of those, or are you awfully full? We'll put that out there for
Pretty
people
full,
to
but they
take.
do look worth taking. They're worth putting that on the salad.